welcome to Go Natural English Lessons. I'm your American English coach, Gabby, and today I'm going to share 21 things that you may be saying wrong in English. These are common mistakes, typically that English learners make, but native English speakers also make them. And these are everyday conversational phrases that you definitely want to get right so you can make your English more correct, more fluent, and you can enjoy feeling confidence when you speak English. So without further ado, let's jump right into these 21 common mistakes. I'm going to move quickly, but feel free to pause, rewind, and review each point. Ask me questions in the comments. And if you would like to learn more with me, come to gonaturalenglish.com. In fact, I'll put a link in the description where you can join my email group for students and receive some of the best free English tips directly in your inbox by email. So check that out at gonaturalenglish.com. The link is in the description. Our first common mistake is since versus for. Now, one of these we use with a specific time or date, and the other is for duration. Do you know which is which? Let's look at a common mistake. I've been in the US since 4 years. That is incorrect. A correct way to express this would be, I've been in the US for 4 years. Or, I've been in the US since 2018. So now you know that for is only used with duration, like the number of years, and since is used with a specific point in time in the past. So for how long have you been studying English? Or since when have you been studying English? Moving right along to number 2, a very common mistake is using the wrong tense for the past tense. So for example, I hear a lot of people using the past tense twice when they shouldn't. For example, I didn't went to the party, or I didn't ate healthy. I cannot say this without feeling pain in my brain because it's just incorrect. We cannot use the past tense twice like this when we've already made do into did, which is the past tense. So I did not go to the party. I did not eat healthy for lunch. So remember, if you already have changed the helping verb like do into did, you don't need to also use the past tense for your main verb. Less and fewer. These are often confused by native speakers. In fact, when I go to the supermarket, I see the sign less than 10 items, and actually this is incorrect. Did you know it should be fewer than 10 items for the express lane? Because fewer is for countable items and less is for non-countable items. So, for example, I have less money today than I did yesterday. I have fewer dollars, because dollars are countable, today than I had yesterday. Still versus yet. This is one that actually my mother confuses sometimes, so I've gotten confused in the past, but this is how you distinguish the two. Still is something that started in the past and continues through the present, and yet is something that we have a longing for that has not happened yet. So the difference is pretty clear. So for example, are you still watching that show on Netflix? You know the one. Or have you seen that show on Netflix yet? So that means I don't think you have seen it. I don't think you've watched it yet. If I'm asking if you're still watching it, that means I think it's a habit. So I know that in the past you were watching this show, and I'm asking if you still are. I versus me. When we have a sentence like, are you coming with him, and is it me or I? Well, notice that I used him and not he. I wouldn't say, are you coming with he and I? A lot of people say that, and it's not correct. Those are the subjects in a sentence, he, I. When we have a sentence like this where they're objects, we have to use him and me. Are you coming with him and me? Or even better yet, us. Are you coming with us? Another common mistake is subject-verb agreement. This one is tricky because sometimes a subject can sound plural, but it's not. For example, one of my favorite kinds of pizza is Hawaiian. Do you know what a Hawaiian pizza is with the ham and the pineapple? It's really good. Anyway, one is actually the subject, not kinds, which is plural. So we're thinking about all the kinds of pizza. However, the actual subject is one. One of my favorite kinds of pizza is Hawaiian, not are. So similarly, another common mistake that I want to talk about next, because it's really similar, is there is, theirs versus there are. A lot of people, especially native speakers, and I am guilty of this too, use there is when we're talking about a plural subject. So for example, there's many ways to study English. That's actually an incorrect sentence. I should say there are many ways of studying English. The reason why many native speakers end up using theirs instead of there are is simply because it's easier to say. Try it. Which feels more comfortable when you're pronouncing it? Theirs or there are? There are has a lot of R sounds, which are difficult for English learners and native English speakers. So it's much more comfortable to say theirs, even if it's incorrect. Another common mistake is an versus a. So whenever you have a noun that starts with a vowel or a vowel sound, we use an. Have an awesome day. We don't say have a awesome day. That's very uncomfortable to say as well. So this one at least is more comfortable to say the correct way. Further versus farther. Now, I was personally confused about these two words. Farther we would use when we're measuring distance, like 10 miles is farther than I want to walk right now. Let's take a taxi. I'm going to need to research further into this topic. So that is not something I can really measure. Even if I count the number of chapters I read, it's more of a thought or an idea further into this topic. Another common mistake is repeating the subject in a sentence when you really don't need to. For example, my friend, she's coming with me. We don't need to say she, we can just say my friend is coming with me. And then the next time we reference her, we could say she because we know who we're talking about. Native English speakers often use double negatives. I don't need no money to have fun. In fact, this isn't a popular song if you know it by Sia. I don't need no money. That is incorrect. I can still understand the thought behind it, is that you can have fun without having money, but the correct way to say that would be, I do not need any money to have fun. Another common mistake is in versus to when we're talking about traveling to a place. So don't say, I've been in the US. Say, I've been to the US. Or if you ask someone a question, have you been to the US? So if you're talking about traveling, you definitely want to use to. Have you been to this country or to this city? Along these lines, sometimes people confuse in and into. You can tell the difference by if there's movement. So for example, I am in the classroom versus I am going into the classroom. There's movement. So often if you have the verb going, you're going to use into because it suggests movement. Or running, I'm running into the classroom. I'm skipping, I'm hopping, I'm leaping into the classroom. I'm falling into the classroom. There's a lot of different movements you could do here. 3 little verbs that really need prepositions that I often hear people forgetting or not saying is look at, search for, and listen to. A lot of English learners especially omit these prepositions because they're very small. When you hear people say them in everyday conversation, native speakers can say them really, really quickly, and it sounds like they're not there, but they are there. Look at me, listen to me, search for the answer. So you can hear they become smaller when we say them quickly in a full sentence, but they are there. Don't say more prettier or more uglier. That is incorrect, and native speakers are often guilty of this. So just say prettier, uglier, better, faster, whatever it is you're trying to say, don't use more. Here's a huge one. A lot of English learners confuse too, T-O-O, and so. For example, I like your dress too much. Too much actually is something negative where you feel like it's a bad thing that you like the dress. Like it's going to have negative consequences that you like my dress so much. Too much. And that's kind of weird. It doesn't make sense. What you actually mean to say is that I like your dress so much. So is similar to very. To means in excess. That versus who. If you're talking about people, use who. I just texted my friend who is from France. Many people say that is from France, and to be honest, it's generally acceptable to say that when you're talking about people, but it's even more correct to say who when you're referencing people. Adverbs that end in ly, like quickly. Do you want to learn English quickly? Well, a lot of native English speakers will say quick in this situation. I want to learn English quick. Well, that's not correct to say, but you can remember it's better when you're describing the verb, when you're using an adverb, to use that ly. Very versus really. So don't say I feel very great. This is a common mistake. When you're talking about feelings, use really. I feel really great. Or that's a very good score on your test. You could interchangeably use really here, but remember, for feelings, use really. I'm really happy. One mistake is when you're pronouncing the past tense. Make sure that you're pronouncing it correctly. You don't have to add the ed sounds to many past tense verbs. For example, changed. I changed my mind. Don't say change ed. So I made another video lesson to tell you about how to know if you use the ed sound or a different sound like d or t or k. So you can learn more about that. I'll put a link in the description about how to learn how to pronounce the past tense. And anybody versus nobody. This is a big one. When you don't expect anyone to agree or say yes, use nobody. So for example, nobody wants any ice cream. I'm expecting that you're on a diet and you don't want to eat ice cream. If I ask, does anybody or does anyone want some ice cream? I expect you to say yes. So this was a lot of information. These are some common mistakes. If you can say these points correctly, you're going to speak English better than like 90% of the people on the planet. So just remember, don't feel overwhelmed. If you can work on each one of these a little bit at a time and improve your English little by little, you will be doing great and you'll be more fluent in no time. You'll be learning English very quickly, not quick, but quickly. So thanks again for watching. I hope this was helpful. Remember that you can come to gonaturalenglish.com to check out more free English tips like this one. And you can join my email group for English learners and get these free English tips directly in your email inbox. You can go to gonaturalenglish.com/email. It's simple. You write your name, you write your email address. It's free to sign up for the student email group. Just click sign up, let's go, and you can expect to hear from me really soon. Thanks so much for watching again. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye for now.